look, I had a different headline to start this podcast when I was like going through it on Sunday like afternoon, like putting up the stuff. I did not think that we were going to be talking about Halo. Um,
Right.
so it's just funny that they have the Halo World Championships, and then it's not just the Halo World Championships. They have this new whole trailer that they show that's a project that they began to kind of show whatever the new generation of Halo would look like in Unreal 5.
Yeah.
They'd already had reports before that they were going to move Halo to Unreal 5, possibly try to start that with Halo Infinite, or at least with the multiplayer part. They did announce like previously that they'd added third person mode to the multiplayer, right? So kind of led to more rumors about does that mean the battle royale's coming pretty soon or something? And then we get this, which is just 343 essentially saying, okay, we're moving Halo to Unreal 5. And this is what it looks like. And then they also revealed at the end that they are no longer called 343 Industries. They are now officially Halo Studio, which, I heard some mixed reception. I talked to, our sort of third co host, Randy, and he was like, "Oh, this is stupid. They're naming it after the game that they technically didn't start. It's like your stepdad coming and taking over something that you made."
Yeah.
And I laughed and I was like, "But at least this isn't like he kind of gave the example of what if Konami just decided to make a Metal Gear studio and saying, okay, now you're in charge of all the Metal Gear games." I was like, well, that's not necessarily true because it's like they took over from Halo 4 and have made Halo games before. It's not like this is the first one, right? But they do mention in there that they are basically they had a recipe before, which was taking a lot of stuff from the previous games that Bungie obviously became famous with, and then adapting that to the current, um, you know, and to kind of varying success, right? Especially 5 wasn't well received at all. Halo Infinite was well received for some of it, and Halo 4 was mixed as well. Um, and then you have that, right? So what do you I know you didn't watch the trailer thing that they showed, but
No, I did.
you're reading. Oh, you did? Okay, no, you did.
Yeah.
All right,
It's 7 minutes long, so who cares? I
right,
agree with Randy, kind of. Uh, Changing the name doesn't mean a whole lot because the same
right.
people are so responsible or in charge, and they can't make a good Halo game.
I would disagree in
Okay,
the
they can't
yeah,
make a profitable and popular Halo game.
yeah.
Because I think Halo 4 is okay, I guess, but no one cared about 5, and Halo Infinite seems like a dumpster fire.
Right. I think the thing with Halo is that 4 they really just they had to kind of they're now forced to okay, Bungie ended the cycle. We have to start our own, and they're having to kind of deal with that and change it. And then 5 they went into a completely other direction nobody wanted, and they suffered for that. 6 they kind of backtracked and went back to that. The multiplayer was really well received. The story mode was actually liked a lot for Halo Infinite. It was just the way that they rolled out the stuff afterwards that gave it the bad press, right? We're not going to have the co-op, we're not going to have Forge for a long time. Oh, then we're
Right.
just canceling the split screen. Period.
And it was like
Then
80% finished already, or like.
yeah, the battle passes, even though they didn't do it like Fortnite where you have to buy them and they run out or whatever. Oh no, still we don't like this. This is not what we wanted for the multiplayer. And to be fair, Pierre Hintz is the one that kind of saved the Master Chief Collection, and he's the one that's kind of head of this right now. So I guess what their whole initiative was to say that we now, like, the chains have been taken off. Not only are we moving over to Unreal and we don't have to worry about dealing with an engine that we only made for this thing, because remember, originally this was supposed to be like an open world game. It wasn't even supposed to be this, right? That it wound up being Halo Infinite. Then now they have the ability to kind of like, you know, chart their own course, decide what they want to do with Halo from this point forward, chase their own stories, whatever it is, all the
I mean,
technical jargon. Yeah.
I would say though, like, that's bad because part of the big issue with Halo the past three games is people don't like those stories or what they're doing with the characters and stuff like that. So
Right.
then you go on like, oh, they got free reign to do Halo the way they want, and it's like, well, no, people don't want, what they want or what they're offering. And I did watch it. Like I said, I watched that trailer. I hated when that art director guy said like, "Oh, we got this Project Forge going, so we ideated on three levels." And I was like,
Hmm.
couldn't you just say fucking brainstorm? Or we created like levels. Like he said it in like the most like pompous way too. I'm like, oh my god, like no
Right.
wonder Halo's going down the drain.
Yeah, they made one that kind of looked like the Flood, right, which hasn't been used since Halo 3,
Right.
which is
And then
something
they
that
made like
people did want, right?
right. Yeah, they made snow level and then like waterfall level.
Right.
But I don't know. I think they should have really got. I mean, the problem with 343, from what a lot of people have said, is like they don't like what Bungie did, and there have
Right.
been some reports like old Bungie people who worked on like the first Halo games who like left Bungie and went to try to go work at 343, and 343 was like no because like you worked at Bungie.
Well, remember they even brought in Joseph Staten to kind of like save it at the last minute, Halo Infinite.
Right,
So,
but
talk about big time Bungie person.
yeah, but he's gone now,
Right.
and you have to wonder how much of his input they actually used, or
Yeah, that was just for the story. I think it wasn't necessarily for the, the
right.
gameplay aspect of it.
So I don't know. I mean, they can rebrand as much as they want, but if the same people are in charge, it's just completely hollow. It's just like
Well, I think the thing is that they learn from that mistake, right? They learn from the mistake of, we're not going to do this again. There was a lot of pressure of, after the delay and after the mess up of showing Craig and that whole trailer and whatever, of, we have to get this right, but then also it's like, oh, we can't delay it again. We have to release it now. We have to have this thing. We have to have this big game out in this time frame or whatever, or it's going to be a big loss. And even though they have Game Pass to back them up, they don't necessarily. It's not like we're trying to get people to go necessarily spend everything and buy the game like you would have in the past. But I think they learned about, like, you got to release a feature complete, no battle passes. If you're gonna do it right, I mean, obviously the way that they release this multiplayer, you have to monetize it. You have to include that stuff. It's free multiplayer, right? You're not paying for that, so
I mean,
it's a different thing. Yeah.
well, there's two things. First is it reminds me. I mean, you've seen The Wire, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It reminds me of like the conversation that Stringer Bell had with his college professor in like season 2, I think. Like
Okay.
Stringer's like asking him like, "Well, I have a bad product," or like, "What do you do when you have a bad product, but you have and you're losing market share?" And the professor's like, "Oh, well, you do a name change." But then he was like, "As the reputation of your brand as the new name goes down, you're going to lose even more market share and and like trust in the product." And I'm like,
Right.
"Yep, this is what they're doing." Uh, but here's the other thing: is what would you rather have? Like personally, would you rather have a free multiplayer game where they monetize everything, or would you rather have a $60 or $70 multiplayer product where they don't monetize shit?
Well, I mean, personally, I'd rather have what we used to have, right? Which is,
Yeah.
you same thing with Call of Duty, where you pay
Well,
your money.
that's the second one
And,
where
yeah.
$60 or $70 product where you don't monetize anything. and I think that's what most people want.
Right.
And
Well, there's still a lot of people. Remember, it's not like free to play stuff is not the huge thing right now. I mean, like I get why they did it,
but okay, but
but
I mean, I could pull up Steam charts or whatever just for like Halo, and I doubt. I'm sure
no,
Halo Infinite has been
they're not
popular,
great. They're
right?
not.
But compare that to Halo 3 or Halo, ODST or Reach. Like, come on, like,
Right. But I think like it's the whole point of they understand now what they can't do, what they can do, what they need to make sure is in the next Halo. They
but
did announce that there's multiple projects in the works, so it's leading many to believe that one of them is going to be once again Halo 1 redone
again,
again, and then they will move on to whatever it is that they want to call Halo moving forward.
I would
Yeah,
say what you're saying kind of makes sense, but this is also their fourth attempt at a Halo game, or
right.
their fourth attempt, and it's like if you can't get it right in three attempts, you shouldn't be able to get a fourth. Like Microsoft should have really looked at that studio and fired most of those people. As
But
much
there's
as
large chunks of Infinite that was actually good. Like it's just they didn't get it cohesively together. And I think that's part of the thing is when they do bring up a good point about when we are having to worry about being engineers and technicians and worrying about making sure that the engine works and not
right,
getting to focus so much on the game. I think that does take away from what you wanted to do. Not only that, but also the game was supposed to be something else originally. And you can see the parts of that feel like, oh, there's quests and stuff. It's like you didn't have quests in Halo. It's just one campaign, right?
well,
Uh,
that's like what they tried to do with Gears 5,
yeah,
and look how well that worked out.
it kind of does feel like it's the same thing that we're trying to hit the reset button with Gears. We're trying to say hit the reset button with Halo. Can they get it to come together? They have to do it this time, I think. But they have that opportunity now. It seems like anyway to like really go back into what they feel works and where they needed to go, and
But
hopefully it's positive. Just
it the really funny thing and the really, I wouldn't say crass, but the really depressing thing is they could just do what Konami did with Silent Hill 2 and just go like we're gonna remake Halo 3 because that's one people liked,
uh,
instead of doing the thing they should do is like remake Halo 1. Like the Silent Hill thing is kind of weird because it's like, yo, Silent Hill 1 is a little older than this. Like you should be
right.
remaking that game first and then you're
Well,
moving on to 2.
the reason why they chose two because it's not connected to the other ones, right? Like Silent Hill 1 kind of connects to 3 and 4, whereas 2 is by itself. So that's
Who
kind of
cares?
why, yeah.
Because if they remake Silent Hill 1 and it's popular, guess what? They can move on to the next one. When that's popular, they can move into
Does
3. Look,
Bloober want to just do that though? That's the thing. Does
yes,
Bloober want to just keep making Silent Hills? And I think this is like well, we don't know if this is going to be amazing or not. So let's just do Silent Hill 2. Let's get the press from that. And then it wound up being awesome. Will Bloober want to go back and make Silent Hill 1? Will they do this? I don't know. Um, it's just I hate the whole like, oh, let's start a series of remakes and then just like the Halo one, right? The idea was for Halo they were gonna do 1 and 2 at least, and then possibly even 3.
yeah,
They did 1, and then by the time we got to like where 2 was gonna happen, it was like,
yeah, too little, too late.
don't know, it's too late now. Like, and then we had to like patch it into the collection
Yeah.
or whatever. And I think you just I worry about like that's what winds up happening with that is they go, well,
Well,
there's already a collection of Silent Hill, so
yeah, but then
well,
look at
yeah,
what Capcom has done,
yeah,
and you can make the case that like there was a remake of Resident Evil 1 way back in the day. So
right,
you know you can. Some people would say, like, "Oh, they remade Resident Evil 2 first, or Resident Evil 1 is like a generation before."
Mm-hmm.
But it's like they still did it. Like, who
And
cares?
it's still like the definitive way to play that game. Like you don't want to go back and play the PlayStation 1 version
Right.
of that, right?
Uh,
So
so that's the blueprint Konami should have been looking at. Not, we can remake Silent Hill 2, and then what? You're gonna remake Silent Hill 1 now? Like,
well, that's the thing. I think this left in the door open to okay, if there's a good reception to this, we could go back and start the series of doing Silent Hill 1 and beyond. Whereas if they decide that this is it, this is the only remake that's going to happen,
right.
then okay, it's the standalone game, so it doesn't hurt anything if you don't get the other ones. And they technically do have a collection on modern platforms you can go buy if you want, right? So
This is completely unrelated, but
yeah,
I saw this pop up on, I think, GameStop or some wiki or something. They are re-releasing Darksiders 2 on
yeah,
PS5 and Xbox Series X. I'm like,
yeah. The
that game is a,
definitive edition. Yeah,
yeah, and I'm like, that
yeah.
game is a decade fucking old. Like, how many platforms does it need to be released on?
Well, I think it's aren't they making a fourth one? Isn't that the whole point? Like I think they
Maybe
want them all
they
to be
claim they
out
are,
there.
but who knows
Yeah,
if they're gonna have the money to make it? So
right. So, for me, as a huge Halo fan, I'm happy to hear that they're going back to the drawing board and stuff like that. I think it's just one of these where,
well, let me
yeah,
ask you this:
yeah,
what do you want the next game to be? Would you rather it be Halo 1 really remastered,
right.
or Halo 7 where they kill off Aerith? And
uh,
I will always make that joke when you get to a franchise that has 7 games.
I'm fine with if you want to do a Halo 1 Combat Evolved
Really
double
evolve?
anniversary because in
Yeah.
2025, in November 2025, it will be the 25th anniversary of Halo at that point. So, or 2026. I'm sorry. The whole point is for it to come out with the new console, which is rumored to come out in 2026. So, like, that's the thing is for me, I'm fine with it. If that's going to be your one of your launch games for the new console, and you want to show all your new stuff with the game that everybody knows and loves, and say, okay, from here on, this is what we really want from Halo, and then you start teasing what the new Halo is going to be, whatever you decide for it to be, Halo 7 uh, and beyond. I'm good with that. I also wonder if the move to Unreal Engine 5 means does that mean now it's for sure coming to PlayStation 5 or PlayStation whatever 6 we're at that point? You think we finally get to see Halo on the competitor console, or this is the one they're going to hold back?
I still am at, if they were smart, this should be the one they hold back. But I think they're getting increasingly more and more desperate. So I think
Yeah,
it will just come to it, and it'll be on every PC marketplace ever.
I definitely think that if you're going to use Halo 1 as the reset and you're going to say that this is going to be the system seller or the one that attracts people over to maybe getting an Xbox for the next gen, I don't think you put Halo on PS5 at all.
Yeah,
Uh, Now, if maybe that's not your idea, right? We still don't know what their next gen thing is. Is their next gen thing a portable system, and that's all it is? They then dock. Is it their version of the Switch that docks to the TV, or is it going to be a two pronged where you have the docking thing that's you can buy by yourself? It's not like the Portal, and then have the big console that goes to your TV. Whatever it is they decide, or is the portable thing just a rumor and it's not happening at all? We'll see. But I just feel like this is your one game, one series that it still could be your flagship if you do this right. It hasn't been your flagship for a long time, right? That's really been like Forza Horizon, to be honest.
Excuse me. I think you're forgetting a little game called Brute Force.
Yeah, of course, Fruit Force. Um,
And Conquer.
don't tell Robert Taylor that. So that being said, I think yes,
I
they have the ability to bring this back. I just think if you put it on PlayStation, at that point, what's the point of even having exclusives? You might as well just release everything day and date, and that's it. And then yeah, if you want to keep making the box, make the box.
yeah. I wish I could be more optimistic about this, but it's just too many people. Like if they brought back like I know they can't bring back like a Halo creator because he's at Bungie, I think still. But like if they brought someone back who was like big back then and said like, hey, we hired this guy back to guide us for this next Halo game, that would be a lot better. But they didn't.
Right, I understand.